Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Dear Becky and Lizzie edition, where we are questionless, so we get to do what we want. Ha! I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber, and kind of spitting outside Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
But not as cold as it's going to get later in the week. Ah.
We got our, I think, 17 raindrops for our 17% chance of rain.
It was doing all the way in, where I had to use the wipers like, yeah, no, it might be, whatever. I had to use the wipers every 20 seconds or so, just in case. And on the radio, they're like, so you might need your winter coat on Saturday. I'm like, I need it now. Because I run, cold or whatever. So I didn't start in it because it's super attached to a basket right now because there's lots of yarn left, but I started my sleeves. And I also took out the ribbing yesterday on this and made it longer. So we're going to see how it's going. This is if I can finish it fast, letting y'all know how it's going. I'm doing 2 at a time sleeves, which means, again, this is the Arabella Pullover. I'll move this. I'm doing 2 at a time sleeves, so I've got yarn attached to both of these sleeves. Actually, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice. Yes, it's nice. This is La Pampa. This spider web of whatever is La Pampa, which is a bulky organic merino from Juniper Moon Farms. Yeah, I took out the ribbing that I was almost done with. I was gonna just make the ribbing longer. I knew I was gonna run out of yarn, like one skein to the next. So I just took it out and kept knitting. It's a little snug for my girth, but it's not bad. It actually falls nice. If I didn't have a little bit of a muffin top right here, it'd be a little better, but that's me. That's my shape, whatever. So these, I've got these on Barber cords where I have a tie here. These are the sleeve Barber cords, but I also have a middle tie here. So I have them split the way I want to go back on my 2 circulars. I can't show you this on camera and wear it at the same time. And my watch suddenly tried to pull a Siri on me. I didn't say anything that should have triggered that. But these go in from here up and then over here from here up. And then the second one comes here down and over here. So when it's on the 2 circulars, are you doing your 2 circulars right now?
Circulars right now.
The sleeves are kind of like this and they're all squishy weird. You can't just try it on. You have to move it onto stitch holders to do that. But these are the 2 needles that I'm using when I'm doing the sleeves. I am just past the first decrease on the sleeves. I think the sleeves are going to be a little snug too, but that's okay. I picked a size that only had about 3 inches of positive ease for the girls because this was already going to be bulky. I didn't want to be swimming in it. So I might be a little tight in it, but when I block it, it all might relax just a hair if I'm careful, which means it'll be a comfortable fit. That's my hope. So just wanted to show you because by the next time I see you on Tuesday, there's a really good chance I'll be done.
And have worn it once.
Well, I didn't say I'd have it blocked.
Well,
but I've worn these suckers without blocking them, of course.
Oh,
I'm hoping to wear. Well, yeah. Are you referring to the? It's going to be cold Saturday.
It's going to be cold Saturday. So
maybe I'll be wearing it Saturday if I finish it in time. I'm getting sidetracked by other things. But I am hoping so you can see the progress I've been making. I finished the bottom before you go with your stuff. I figured out with that last one because I didn't want to have to change skeins in the ribbing, but then you were giving me advice on I was thinking, okay, this is 100% merino. Technically you could spit join it, but it's so thick. And you said open up the plies.
Open up the plies and
and so I kind of frayed it a little and did that and just kept going. I have 2 or 3 other places where right now, until I sew the ends in, there's holes and there will be bulk when I sew the ends in. If I had known that,
I did the
earlier.
same thing.
I thought about it.
I did the same thing with my Baroque Ultra alpaca
Mhm.
sweater. Like I changed skeins and left my tails so I could weave them in.
Well, see, yeah.
And then I get down to the ribbing and I'm almost out and I'm like needing, and I was like, ooh.
I ran into a knot with maybe a yard or two left in one skein. And I went to pull it to break it, and the knot actually just came apart. So like I have that as scrap in case I want to use it for something else anyway. But yeah, so I could have been doing that all along. Oh well, lesson learned. Hopefully the sleeves, hopefully I have like almost a whole skein for each sleeve. Well, one of them's kind of a little gappy in here because I used it for the bottom of that. So I might have to go into my 6th skein for this. I don't know. Go ahead.
I was going to show how the sleeves lay. Like
one goes this
sleeve,
that
goes straight
sleeve
out.
is straight out, and this sleeve is folded over. If you can see that, it's not like they're both folded in to do 2 at a time.
It's kind of like this.
Yeah, it is. It's very much like this, so that you can be doing the beginning and end as you're going back and forth.
And when I first took one of my sweaters off to check, I tied a little knot in the middle of the barber cord and stuck the 2 ends of the barber cord on the 2 ends of the needles.
That's what I just did too. Yeah.
And
I stole from her idea.
She
did it first.
It makes keeping all of your stuff for 2 at a time.
So hopefully
nice.
What I'll do, because I think I've got the end tie here, and if I did it right, yes, the end tie is here. So when I untie these, I'm gonna go like up to the knot on this one with my one circular, and then come over here and go up to the knot. I got to make sure I go the same direction, and then come down from the knot, and then I'll go over here and come down from the knot. I'm actually in the shower this morning. I was like, ooh, the next time I set up a sleeve, like knitting the sleeves on 2 circulars with a sweater, I've already done it on this one, but the next time that I hit one, I think it's probably going to be when I come back to do the sleeves on my Ready Set Raglan, my LON. I might do a tips and tricks based on that, because I remember trying to figure that out. Shout out to Cheryl, trying to do a Zoom lesson with her and help her. I did a drawing to help figure out how you set it up. So anyway, we, as far as we know, don't have any questions for Dear Becky and Lizzie this week. So we're going to talk about whatever we want to for the next, like 20 minutes, because I came in late today. Shocker. Because I do a whole lot of things for the shop at home before I come in, and I just couldn't get out of bed this morning. I had a migraine yesterday. I'm going to blame it on that. By the time I went home, I was a hot mess. I feel much better today, but some people saw this coming. And if I get too garbled today, it's the after effects. I can totally try to blame it on that. So so I didn't get more done than this little bit, because there was a while I was trying to eat and just settle last night that I just was not functional. And my sleep tracker overnight last night, like I got in bed by like 10:30. I wanted to go to bed a lot earlier, and then I hit that hovering zone of like not being able to go to bed.
I was gonna send you a text, and I was like, no, she said she was gonna go to bed early, and it's 9:30, and totally I can't send her a text because I don't want to wake her up.
Probably wouldn't have woken me up anyway. But my sleep tracker this morning said I didn't go to sleep till midnight. Like it had me doing, like it had the little, like it does the like deep sleep, waking up, deep sleep, and it had this little like for like an hour. It said it took me an hour to fall asleep, and I can tell you, I lay down and turned on the little noisemaker thing to lull me to sleep, and I remember nothing until I kind of naturally woke up at 6 a.m., which was annoying because I was trying to sleep in. But my sleep tracker thinks I didn't go to sleep.
I've had those nights that I look at my sleep tracker in the morning and I'm like, I was out.
Well, this says well, you knew you were out, and sleep tracker's not saying the same thing.
The sleep tracker's like, you didn't go to sleep until midnight. And I'm like, what? No, I think I woke up at midnight, but I had been out.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah. So anyway, that's me in a nutshell lately. How's your day going? So I thought there's plenty of things we could talk about. And the frustrating thing is because I didn't write it down. I know I mentioned something on Tuesday that I'm like, but let's wait. We could talk about that on Thursday because that's kind of the spot for it. I have no recollection of what that is. And I'm totally going to blame the migraine.
And we don't use show notes,
And we don't go back and rewatch what we do.
Yeah.
So usually, so if someone remembers, I'm sure someone will let me know. Be like, but this is what you're going to talk about. Oh, yeah. And either we're going to talk about it right now without realizing it, or we're totally going to not. And, you know, that's us. Me in a nutshell. That's us. So, I brought in some Mayu Lace stuff. We can talk about that. We can talk about the Ranunculus. There's like, I'm getting lots of comments and lots of people being like, ooh, this is exciting. I've wanted to try this, or I just want to do a knit along, or, you know, like, yay. And that's part of the reason that I'm trying to change it up with the knit alongs. Like, this is our first experience with them. Yes, the shop has been open for like 4.5 years, over 4.5 years at this point. This year is the first time we're actually trying anything remotely resembling a knit along. And part of that is just, there's so many different ways to do it. And I don't like deadline knitting. So I don't like knit alongs where it's like, okay, I mean, as much as I'm enjoying the Princess Bride knit along right now, I'm already behind. Well, it's just life. So I don't want to have like, we have to get to this part by this day and blah.
I think deadline knitting is kind of one of those self-imposed, because like the clues are released every week for a mystery knit along, but it's there's you don't have to finish it in a week.
No, I mean, a lot of people are posting on Instagram still clue 1, which was 2 weeks ago on the mystery knit along.
Yeah,
that Lyrical Knits is not one we're doing. It doesn't have to be you need to stick to the deadlines thing. It is more of a self-imposed. Some people it's
like a knitting and a crochet culture thing. Like
some people love it.
Well, how long did it take you to make that? And now I have a deadline. Like, you know,
that sounds like a should.
It is a should.
That sounds like a shame thing.
It is, but you know, we have people all the time coming in going, well, how long did it take you to make that sweater?
I know, it's so frustrating.
Or how long should it take for me to make this? Like, what's the timeline there? And it's like,
yeah,
that falls under deadline knitting, which isn't or shouldn't be a thing.
Well, and here's the thing is they won't use the word should. They won't stick the shame word in there. They'll say, well, how long will this take?
Yes.
And that you can't answer that because everybody knits at a different speed. And in fact, we have people coming in all the time saying, I'm so slow. I wish I was faster. And again, that self-imposition of shoulds, I should be faster, when it's just like, I mean, if possible, and not everyone can do this, but if possible, the whole do it to do it, not to finish, or not to, you know, although for some people the finishing might be part of what makes them happy. So I can't tell you, no, don't try to finish things. That's wrong. Because if that's what makes you happy, you know, I'm not going to shame you about it.
We are not monogamous knitters. Ever. Wait,
Jen from the UK was like, see, monogamous knitting. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really monogamous knitting, but I am making progress.
There are moments that we tend to like focus more, because even when I was doing Christmas presents, let's be honest, I was doing a lot of other knitting.
Well, and because sometimes too much focus for some people makes them explode.
It does. My brain was like,
and just a project just will never get done.
But I'm more monogamous with this week because
you have a goal.
It's
gonna be cold Saturday. Yeah.
And I want to wear it at least once before next winter. Like,
yeah. I have to hit the grocery store and cook tonight and hopefully not have a resurgence of my migraine. So we'll see. But actually, tomorrow's Friday, so I still have a whole nother day. So I could get this done before Saturday. Maybe.
I'm like I'm 8 or 9 inches now on my sleeves.
That's awesome.
So, and I need to go to like 14 and then put a couple on. Well, I do edging.
You should just rip it out and say, I'm done. bind it off.
This is all like, I don't like ribbing. I don't know.
I'm not sure where this came from.
So I did seed stitch, which in theory is
It's a
exactly
ribbing.
the same thing. It is exactly the same thing. It's knit one, purl one all the way around, and then you just shift. So
it's like knit
kind
one,
of
purl
ribbing.
one with mistakes on purpose.
Yes.
It's okay. That is a topic we could talk about, ribbing or just edging on stuff. Like a classic edging is a ribbing knit one, purl one where they line up like this. The whole point of an edge is like, if you just had, like, take a look at what's happening right here. If you just have stockinette, it will roll. That is technically an edging. You need to do more of it to allow it to roll, and that could be your edge right there. Boom.
And there's hats and sleeves and a whole bunch of stuff that does that.
And the short sleeve, the shortest of the short sleeve versions of the Ranunculus, that's all it is. And I did this in a really dark color, so it's hard to see. You just bind off and then it rolls, and yay. If you don't want it to roll like that, you need to put some kind of edging on it. And again, the classic edging is knit one, purl one. That's what is at the bottom of this too, is ribbing. Knit your knits and purl your pearls once you start it. Seed stitch is seed stitch and garter stitch are two things that can also give you a flat edging. They're all going to be a little thicker than just pure stockinette. But garter is, if you're knitting flat, is knit every row. If you're knitting in a circle, to give it something that's got a little bit more grip to it and a little bit more not going to roll, you knit a row and then purl a row if you're going in a circle. And then seed stitch is almost looks like garter, but I think it's a little prettier. It's knit one, purl one. And then on the next row, like you're saying, it's shifted. So you knit your pearls and purl your knits. If that doesn't throw your brain into chaos, you do the opposite. So you get like a little checkerboard of the purl bumps that stick out and the knit bumps that sink in. You get a little checkerboard going on, but it's still, it helps it lie flat. It does its purpose.
Yes. I for some reason knit one, purl one ribbing, or even knit two, purl two ribbing throws me off. But I could do seed stitch or moss stitch or whatever.
Well, they just have very different looks.
Yeah.
And it depends on what you like better or enjoy doing more.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mary Lou. I promise I'm not a stalker, but I saw your post on Knit and Chat that she was starting a piece that only had a few rows of garter at the bottom. And her gut was like, it's not going to be enough. It's going to curl. It's not going to be enough, but I'll trust the pattern writer and I'll go ahead and do it. And it wasn't enough and it curled. And sometimes the pattern writer knows what they're talking about. And sometimes they're using a yarn that will behave differently than the yarn you're using. Or sometimes they just are incorrect, and everything's gonna, the beauty of knitting is that you don't have to only do what the pattern writer says. Just know that if you change it and it doesn't work, you can't blame the pattern writer. So I'm not saying Mary Lou was, she's not, if she's changing it and making it work for her.
I find that I-cord rivet or I-cord edging, unless even blocking it, sometimes it'll curl up.
I find
on life.
So I-cord edging is done by slipping stitches and knitting them around, like to make a rolled edge, like a round edge, not a rolled edge really. Yeah. And honestly, like it's pretty, but it's not enough to hold a whole piece above it from curling. I agree.
Yeah.
It's going to give you a really pretty edge. And on a shawl, it might work because it's going to fall and who cares? But if it's just the top edging or bottom here, it may not be enough.
I have my
especially
big,
the bottom,
super bulky blue sweater with the silver, and it's all got an I-cord edge and it rolls up all day long. And
it's not enough weight.
Yeah.
And fabric to hold some, like it can work at the top because you have the whole weight of the piece pulling down. But yeah, at the bottom it's just it's its own weight holding it down, and it's not enough there. So it tends to, I can totally see that happening. Yeah. And it may not happen with everything, but once you make enough pieces, you go,
well, and it's like,
which ones are going to be questionable.
I do a bit of carolizing in that I don't like the 1x1 ribbing on certain sweaters, but it's still a flat piece that, even with that sweater, you added a few more rows of the ribbing because you didn't.
I was going to. What Liz is addressing is it said only do 4 rows of ribbing. And I'm like, that's not gonna be enough. But it's such a big yarn. Originally I wasn't going to add more. I was going to add more ribbing at the bottom. I didn't end up doing that because I made it longer.
Yeah.
But actually, I take that back. I did this with a migraine last night. I did 5 rows instead of 4. So technically I wasn't going to, and then I was like, let me just do one more row.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked a little longer than,
Yeah, there's like 5 bumps there. Yes. So
5 rows and a
that's
bind
my
off,
migraine. But it was I realized that 4 rows was probably going to be fine. But I did a 5th row before the bind off. Yeah, and the bind off can kind of look like an extra row. But it was only calling for 4 and a bind off. And yeah, I was like the same as up here, that sometimes that's not enough.
Yeah.
This is chunky enough. 3 rows of knitting this is an inch, which it is a thick yarn. And so 4 rows and then the bind off is maybe 1.5 inches. That's not bad. Everybody likes something different. Less than that, something that's only 1 inch. And I've had that on sweaters before where they're like, just do 1 inch. I would do 1 inch up here. I wouldn't do 1 inch down there.
Yeah,
I do more.
I tend, like, this is a good 1.5 inches. I tend to do at least 1.5 inches, if not a little bit more.
And you have fallen into doing the seed stitch or something like that on Il Grande Favorito.
Yes,
but that's not how it's written.
It's written for 1x1 rib. I even on my
and that's
collar,
okay.
I did seed stitch.
Yeah, and it's pretty.
I like the way it looks. It lays flat. I want to say I've done ribbing, but lately I've fallen into if it calls for ribbing, I just do seed stitch or Irish moss.
So we're not even going to have enough time because again, I came in late to talk about half the things. I was like, hey, filler, we can do blah, 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 blah. I am going to go through my little mental checklist here. No show notes, but mental checklist. Wow. And these, of course, are sticking together. I brought in, and because I'm not using my prim for my mohair, it's totally falling apart. My yarnet usually contains this, and it's holding something else right now. The piece I'm doing with Mayu Lace in that Mystery Lake, and then a light gray mohair. This is Espace Tricot's. I'm forgetting the name of it now. Did you almost say Il Grande Favorito? No, that's what you're
the Aise or
Aise 2, I think. Spelled with an A. I'll put it in the comments. It's simple stockinette, so it curls on the edges quite a bit, and then a little bit of lace work that just gives it a ridge right there. It's super pretty. It's just straight knitting and purling with a little bit of eyelets in it. It's very pretty. It's been in timeout forever, but holding a lace weight that's got the content of Mayu Lace with mohair is just so amazing. And I think I'm looking for tails and stuff. I've started a new ball of mohair, but I am still on my first skein of Mayu Lace, which is only 50 grams, but it's super thin. I want to say the length I'm hoping to make this, it might take 2.
And
who knows if I will ever finish it
because of the yardage on and sugar bush that you're using, sugar bush mohair. It generally takes about 2.
It's like 200 something
fingering weight.
The Pantone colors of the year, and these things I have to put away. The Pantone's colors of the year last year were the yellow and gray, and so that is what I was using. This was this morning's morning meditation. It is
so pretty.
The lace fan shawl. This is crochet. And now I want to get back and work on it more. I was using the dandelion that were like, it's a really pale yellow and a dark gray, because these kind of fit the Pantone colors of the year last year. And I want to say this might still be my first skein. It might be my second. I can't really remember because I've been breaking the yarns when I switch colors. And I have a couple of options as this gets bigger, depending on how big I want to make it. I might have another skein of this at home. I am not using very much of this gray. It could be that when I run out of the yellow, I'm trying to put the gray in every 2 repeats for just one little 2-row section. It could be that I finish it in the gray instead of cannibalizing more of the yellow. I haven't decided yet because it's been in timeout for so long. I don't know if anyone even remembers this piece. That's a big truck going by outside. That's someone who wasn't prepared for a light outside.
Yep.
May or may not have been picked up by the camera, but that was loud for us. So so this is other Mayu lace that I'm working on. It's so soft and lovely. The lace fan shawl, I'll put the name in the comments, is written for fingering weight. I'm just doing it super, super, super see-through light with the lace weight. Her version her sample, the pattern writers, Raffaella Designs, her sample was done with Cascade Heritage, which we carry, which is a fingering weight, and that would be gorgeous. So I brought those in, and I was gonna talk about possible options for the ranunculus, but we should open the shop soon. So because there's just so many people going, ooh, one of the thoughts I had yesterday. So shout out to Donna. She said, what about holding the 2 of the new colors together? This held together would probably be super gorgeous. It would lighten it up, the dark color, just a bit. A ranunculus out of these 2 held together would be beautiful. If you're doing the super teeny tiny small size, with short sleeves, you might only need these 2. But anything bigger than the teeniest, tiniest, smallest size, which is like 400 yards or so, you would need 4 skeins then, and that adds up. It all depends on your budget because that can add up super quick. I love that if I do this single stranded, 2 of these could even, like, I might even play around with how long the sleeves get, and it could be a super lightweight but kind of warm, like spring or fall thing. And if I made it long sleeves, I mean, that could just be really fun to experiment with. I don't remember, was it yesterday that you spawned the idea of doing 2 in different weights? And then I was like, oh, I want to steal that. And I feel bad, but I don't.
Because we're going to pick completely different things.
Well, and like there's 2 different collars on
this.
And I keep
swirling on what I'm doing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this, but I might want to show people what it looks like if you're not doing it on teeny tiny yarn. And there's 2 different collars. There's one with a provisional cast on that looks like it's voodoo magic, and I can't do that, but yes, you can. Or you don't have to do the provisional cast on collar. You can do I think the other collar is maybe looser. I'm forgetting which one's the looser one.
I wound up casting on more stitches.
Yes, you just changed it, and we can talk more about that when we get closer because we're running out of time today. But I could do different collars with different ones. I could do, I already have one that is a lace slash, not lace, sport slash DK weight. This one in the Alba, Jody Long Alba, or someone mentioned Patagonia, which is the same thickness as this, would both be gorgeous options. This used like a skein and a half because there's tons of yardage on the Alba. This is like a warmer weather, but it's a lighter weight thing. Like I wore it yesterday, and actually because it started getting cold, it wasn't enough. If you wanted one that is more of a summer weight, you can pick a cotton blend. I mean, you could pick cotton, but it might stretch. I'm debating, and of course I'm in this, so I have to take my basket with me to go grab something real quick. I'm debating, hang on a sec. I'm debating making one out of Jody Long Coastline. And of course, if I did it, I'd have to pick like a really pretty color like this. Coastline is like this cotton innards inside an outer like stretchy kind of sheath so it's cotton, viscose, nylon, and linen. And the outer sheath has all these fun little like colors. It's got a stretch, but it's supposed to be made for like spring and summer garments. And we have really, really pretty colors. And I have a top I'm making out of the green of this, one of the greens that I've totally stalled out on. And wouldn't this be pretty? Or the other green. Of course, I don't want to make it in the green that I could just cannibalize and use, because that would make sense. That would make too much sense. But
I saw one on Ravelry last night because I was surfing through the options, like what has everybody else done? Because another thought I had yesterday was Daydream Dye Works tweet.
Is that why you bought some Daydream
Might be
Dye
why I
Works?
bought some Daydream Dye Works.
We have limited supply of that, by the way.
But
And
a lot of people are either making them in solids or very light colors, and the colors that I picked out are dark. But it's busy.
I have to just butt in because it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah. We'll stop.
I should have gotten here earlier
I'll save it
because
for
you were
Tuesday.
starting. You need to write it down because
I
I'm
will
gonna
write it.
forget. We need to wrap up. I don't mean to cut Liz off, but I'm going to cut Liz off. Cliffhanger. Bum, 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 because I got in here late and then we had to get a package ready to go and we should have the shop open. So if someone walks up, we have to go run for the door because they're going to pull in the door and be like, why is it locked? And two things I want to say. The Ranunculus, I have discovered we cannot get it for you through the Ravelry Pro shop. You have to get it directly from the designer, but that's okay. Get it from her on Ravelry. It also makes it hard for us to print it if we know you've bought a copy, we might be able to print you a copy, but since it's 15 pages long now, we do have to charge for printing. We can still buy it here, but it's almost just easier if you buy it through the designer. And we won't see you again until Tuesday. So if you'd like to see us before then, come to Virtual Sit and Stitch tomorrow night on Zoom and use, it's from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and use the shop phone number
828-877-3550
to get in. And we will remind you of this next week. We are hitting daylight savings in the US this weekend.
Sunday.
So yeah, I wasn't forgetting, well, kind of, but this weekend. I'm keeping it general. So the next time we have Sit and Stitch, if you do not abide by the US daylight savings time stuff, we will be at a different time for you. So keep that in mind. So this week, everything's as it should be. Next week it shifts, but it's 7 to 9 p.m. of whatever the US is doing as Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Time Zone. So anyway, we got to go. We should have opened up like 3 or 4 minutes ago. To be continued. Maybe we'll remember what we were supposed to talk about. You've written that one down. If someone writes us a note on what I said on Tuesday to talk about, we will add it to the list and we'll talk to you next week. Bye. I'm attached.